Don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets, looking around as though you wished you were anywhere but here.
Oh, you couldn't be more wrong, sir.
What? Forget it.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
You wanted the new album coming up?
Seriously, bro? Yo, stop talking to me.
Okay. All right.
See him.
I think in general, getting away from Diddy, and God bless him and whatever else he's dealing with, I don't beat people.
And I said, you got to be fibbing me. I didn't say that. That's horrible. And it's nothing to joke around about.
Ellen DeGeneres, Bill Nye, and Anna Kendrick all have one thing in common. They've all been accused of being absolutely awful behind the veil of Hollywood. So in the year 2020, at the time, current and former staffers began airing claims that Ellen had mistreated employees and fostered a toxic work environment on her very popular daytime show. And then celebrities started sharing their own stories about the comedian. So stars like Brad Garrett and Leah Thompson expressed some very negative sentiments towards Ellen, claiming her nice persona was a facade. And we'll get into that in a moment. While others, including Scooter Braun and Katy Perry, defended the star. And honestly, hindsight's 2020, Scooter Braun defending somebody is a bit of a red flag in my opinion. So let's dive into things. Starting with Brad Garrett, the Everybody Loves Raymond star. He called out the comedian via Twitter on July 31st of the same year, and he appeared on Ellen's show multiple times, so I think he's got a good grasp of things. So he shared the Variety article about the comedian. The one with the letter that was apologizing to staffers who felt disrespected, because in that letter, Ellen said that she hadn't been able to closely manage the show as it grew in recent years, and then Brad Garrett said, sorry, but it comes from the top, and tagged Ellen directly. He continued on to say that he knew more than one person who was treated horribly by Ellen, adding that her behavior was common knowledge. Oof. Let's go over to Leah Thompson, the Back to the Future star. So she added on to that message. She said that Ellen's mistreatment of others was common knowledge. She said this in a reply to People's Report about Brad's comment and said, true story, it is. She didn't elaborate and she didn't need to. Let's see, who else has something to say? Oh, when Mariah Carey appeared on The Ellen Show in 2008, Ellen was pushing her to announce her pregnancy. Now, Mariah said quietly that she didn't want to discuss that on television, and I respect that. So then Ellen asked her to toast with something instead. So Ellen asked her to toast instead, effectively forcing her to admit whether or not she was carrying, since if you're carrying, you're kind of advised against imbibing. And Mariah said, I can't believe you did this to me, Ellen. And then Ellen was like, well, let's toast to you not being pregnant, if you're not pregnant. Newsflash, folks, Mariah Carey sadly miscarried shortly after the interview. Now, a stylist from New York has outed her worst celebrity experience in a series of TikTok videos, and originally it had me wondering who an evil chick was. So the stylist's name is Tahira, and she discussed her experiences with famous people. Some were positive, others were extremely negative. She said in 2016, Pitch Perfect actress Anna Kendrick stopped by her store to prepare for a book signing. And according to the stylist, Anna Kendrick said that she would only wear their clothes for 10 grand. So the stylist said she wouldn't speak to me, which is strike one. She wouldn't say anything. Anna then gave a look to her PR lady, who took the stylist outside and repeated, if you guys want her to wear a look, it is 10 grand. Okay, folks, so if you don't know how Hollywood works, typically stylists give celebrities free outfits to wear in exchange for their promo of the outfit on social media, and obviously at the event. Sometimes stylists will even allow the celebrity to keep the style for free. But like, would you spend $10K just to have a celebrity wear one of your outfits to a book signing? Like, what outfit is even worth that much? So going back to the stylist, she revealed in a second TikTok video that she actually ran into Anna while working at Barney's department store years later, and she asked her colleague to work with her instead because she didn't want to deal with the attitude. And then, apparently after the colleague helped Anna, the colleague came back over and was like, do you have any idea who that is? And she's like, oh yeah, she's an actress. And the colleague was like, yeah, I have no idea who she is, but she just got so nasty with me. And it's like, girl, I get it, you're talented, but that's no reason to be rude to people. I'm sorry to break it to everybody, but I've heard nothing but bad things from anybody who's ever met Bill Nye. I know he's a hero to a lot of you, and it breaks my heart to say, but apparently it's a Hollywood open secret that the man is a total jerk. So when I was scouring Reddit for tea for today, user Braves Girl said they had a friend who apparently they were at some art show and Bill Nye was there, and it was an art show for like a younger demographic, and Bill was making fun of the artwork in front of the artists. And they said, and I quote, "What a jerk." User K80bot said that Bill Nye was a guest judge on a reality show that they were on back in 2014. He was a jerk and made some very comments to them about their engineering skills, which, like, ew, gross. They said both of those were two of the most arrogant people they'd ever encountered. The actual astronauts, on the other hand, were as down to earth as could be, which, great for them, but also just like, Bill Nye, really? That's just so sad. So James Corden saw his career skyrocket when he brought the world carpool karaoke while hosting The Late Late Show, only for the public to turn on the talk show host, leading to a lot of folks to wonder, okay, what was going on? Why does everybody hate James Corden? There's a lot of stories that exist that call into question his off-camera personal conduct, which has been sadly widely documented by the media. Also, are we all forgetting the infamous and very uncomfortable encounter with Patrick Stewart at the 2010 Glamour Awards, where Sir Patrick Stewart told James Corden off for looking like he would rather be anywhere else? Also, it doesn't help that James Corden's performance in The Prom as a queer character was seen as very stereotypical and offensive, and his Golden Globe nomination for the role only heightened the outrage. And by the way, James Corden has been the recipient of criticism not just from folks like us, folks at home, but from a lot of significant industry workers, other than Sir Patrick Stewart. British TV director Craig Duncan worked with James Corden on the British game show The League of Their Own, where the host was ultimately telling the director how to direct, which, like, you don't do that, you don't do that. When speaking with the crew about how to capture the scene, James Corden apparently intervened, yelling, "What the F is going on here? It's obvious what you do. It's so obvious how you get it. It's stupid. Dude, that is not the move." This happened after the director had already observed James Corden ridiculing and embarrassing a writer. Which, by the way, James Corden was also reportedly very rude to the staff of quite a few of the projects he was involved in. So, when asked by Jimmy Fallon to name two members of his Late Late Show crew in the Spill Your Guts segment that he did once, he couldn't do it. He opted to drink a fish smoothie instead. Which, like, sir, you can't name two people on your crew? Come on. Famed restaurateur Keith McNally, who owns the Manhattan French place Balthazar, you know, the big restaurant, banned James Corden from his place in 2022 because McNally claimed the host was rude to the waiting staff on not one, but two separate occasions. Apparently, James Corden demanded all these freebies, and he threatened to post bad reviews, and it was just really icky. During an interview with comedian Theo Vaughn, Roseanne Barr once said, "Nobody passed away in the mass extinction event of the 1930s and 40s. That's the truth." And hey, as if casual major world event denial wasn't horrific enough for her, she immediately escalated her rhetoric, saying, "It should happen. People should pass away right now, because they cause all the problems in the world. But it never happened." I'm sorry, that statement made my jaw hit the floor. She, once upon a time, decided to do this really gosh awful interpretation of the national anthem. She got kicked off of the reboot of her own sitcom with a very awful tweet about former White House advisor Valerie Jarrett. She championed problematic conspiracy theories during the crazy world events a couple years back, and I think that's everything I can say without getting thrown off the internet, because it only gets worse from there, folks. Denzel Washington, Usher, Damon Dash, just a couple of the names that have warned all of us about Hollywood parties over the years. Denzel Washington had fighting words for Puffy at one of the disgraced rappers' parties back in the early 2000s. The Oscar-winning actor screamed at Puff Daddy before he stormed out of an all-night party that the music mogul hosted in 2003, at least according to a trusted anonymous source. So allegedly this insider was somebody who was super friendly with Puffy in the early 2000s, and Denzel screamed, "You don't respect anybody." So Denzel and his wife Pauletta had been partying until dawn with Puffy, and they had seen something and then they stormed out. I want to know what they saw and why was it so bad that they had to leave. When Usher was just getting his start in the music industry, Puff Daddy was his legal guardian because he produced the singer's self-titled 1994 debut album. Usher has often explained that during his time under Puffy's wing, he was exposed to a lot. In 2004, during the era of Usher's Confessions album, he said in a Rolling Stone interview that Puffy introduced him to a totally different set of stuff. He mentioned how intercourse is so hot in the industry, man. I remember that in Puffy's home, there was always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room doing it, you never knew what was gonna happen. I don't know, folks, the events that Usher described sound kind of similar to these freak-offs, which are at the center of a lot of lawsuits right now. During his 35th birthday celebration in 2013, Usher spoke about his time with Puff Daddy, who was allegedly in attendance at the celebration. In a speech, Usher described the I'll Be Missing You rappers' parties, saying, "I was introduced to everything by Puff Daddy when I was under his guidance. Parties, women, coitus, and substances. I've had a taste of it, but I'd never let it take me over." Usher continued, saying that he wouldn't pass on any of the advice that he was given. In 2016, during an interview with Howard Stern, Usher once again recalled some of these parties, which were often nicknamed Puffy Flavor Camp. And he said there were very curious things taking place at the parties. And when asked if he'd ever send anybody to Puffy Flavor Camp, he responded with a hell no. He hasn't said much else about this time period in recent memory, nor has he publicly addressed all the charges and lawsuits. However, in September of 2024, Vance noticed that Usher had scrubbed his Twitter profile of every single post. He claimed he was hacked, but what was he hiding? Come on, fangirls. You know what to do. Nearly 2 weeks before Puff Daddy was even arrested, actor and comedian Marlon Wayans admitted that he'd attended plenty of parties hosted by the rapper, but he wasn't privy to any nefarious activities that have been reported in previous legal documents. He said he'd always leave the gatherings early, but a lot of folks on social media are kinda doubting his words. One person responded directly to a post that Marlon made on Twitter back in 2009 where he spoke highly of these parties. Said, "Been doing Puffy parties for 15 years, and I must say you never let me down, Puff. Ain't no party like a Puffy party," which you're gonna hear that a lot today. So a lot of folks were saying like, so you say you left these parties early. I call BS. The truth shall set you free. Well, just last week, Marlon doubled down on his original remarks about leaving the parties early. He shared these on the Club Shay Shay podcast and said, "Yep, and I still stand by that. I've never seen or been a part of nothing but good vibes and energy with clothes on." So yeah, I'm not rushing to take down old tweets or anything. I ain't got to hide, period. I have been to plenty of Puffy parties. He said, "I left early. I swear to you. I've never seen it. Those aren't the type of parties I go to. I don't frequent those type of parties. And even if I go, like, I'd never seen any of this." When I heard about it, I was like, when did that happen? At what time did this go down? Because I was there until 3:30. You mean at 3:32? So they waited for me to leave? Like, alright, good that Wayans gone. He talked too much? So he did admit that he's seen substances at parties, but he was unfamiliar with all other reports. He said, "I watch how I conduct myself because I'm not doing this just for me. I have to answer to God. I have to answer to my brothers. I have to answer to my legacy. I can't act a certain way. I have to answer to people who want to be like me. There's a lot for me to answer to. I owe it to my fans to walk through this life and be an example as best I can." Okay, but like, if you were there that late, Damon Dash said, "I didn't go to those parties back in September when photos resurfaced of him at a Puffy party with Jay-Z and J-Lo." He said, "Yeah, I went to one in the Hamptons about 20 years ago with Aaliyah, and that's about it." But a lot of people were at those, you know what I mean? And he said, nothing happened in the Hamptons. He said that was the day he met Aaliyah. We hung out there and then we left, and then that's what happened. That was 20 years ago. It was not in LA or Miami. And he said, "I know everybody's gonna play games with those photos. It's all good. I don't really care." So Dash dated Aaliyah from the year 2000 until her passing, so okay. Incredible timeline. Cat Williams said they've had to turn down $50 million 4 times just to protect his integrity and that certain hole they were telling you about. So this was during another interview on the Club Shay Shay podcast, which, okay, interesting. He said, because Puffy be wanting to party and you gotta tell him no. You gotta tell him no. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely. At the time, he also teased that more celebrity scandals would soon come to light, adding, "It's up for all of them. It don't matter if it's Puffy or whoever you is. So who else? Why don't you bring something to light, my dude?" Jenny Mullen claimed in a September 2024 Instagram video that she had turned down an invitation to one of Puff parties. She said, "One time when I was in San Diego and this guy came over and he's like, 'My boss wants to meet you.'" She had on like a regular button-up shirt, jeans, like nothing really like promiscuous or giving any kind of fun ideas. But she said, and I quote, "This guy's like, 'My boss wants to meet you.' And he's like this big bouncer looking man in a fur coat. And he said, 'We're having a party up in my room. Do you guys want to come?' And she's like, 'Oh my god, guys, would I have been in a freak off?' Like, that's what I'm reading. It's called a freak off. Would I have been captured in his room in my hideous maroon shirt? Would there be footage to this day of me in some sort of crazy exploitative freak off? Slow down. Possibly. Don't think you would have been in that shirt, but okay. According to former music industry insider Tom Swoop, who has recounted many of his memories of surviving these white parties on his YouTube channel, first off in my opinion, story time, these parties were separated into tiers of access. So there was general admission, and then we got all these tiers, ending with the entrance to the inner sanctum, where the real partying went on. This allegedly included humiliating guests on the promise of record deals or money. Swoop and a lot of others have spoken about substances that were present. We talked about that already today. So things that make you see things, no snow, anything that can be considered booger sugar was there. As an industry insider when he first attended these parties, Swoop described an eye-popping regality. Look, these parties were allegedly a way to integrate hip-hop into society of the mega-rich, to find an intersection of both worlds. Puffy said he wanted to strip away everyone's image and put everybody in the same color and on the same level. And Swoop recalled it as more of a power trip for the rapper. So at one point, finding himself in the same room as Puffy, Swoop alleged that Puffy told a young artist to perform a kind of act on his bodyguard in return for $100,000 and a record deal, before claiming it was a joke when the young man was on the cusp of submitting. Swoop recalled Puffy wielding his power with words that echo the threat contained in allegations in the lengthy criminal complaints that were recently unsealed. Swoop claimed that Puffy told him, "I can make anybody do anything because this life is what they want and I got the keys to the castle." Swoop said he left the party thinking, if this is what goes on behind the curtain and you're all comfortable with this, nah, I don't want this in my life. He said there were so many celebrities who were cool with who he was and what he did to entertain them. It's not isolated. You all need to think of everybody when you think of him and the access and the amount of people that were there. Celebrities are allowed to have their secrets, but folks like Kim K, Lady Gaga, JLo, and more have had some really dark secrets leaked by their staff that we need to talk about. In March of 2012, Kim Kardashian was doused in flour while walking the red carpet at the launch of her perfume. I think it was called True Reflection. She was in West Hollywood. Now prior to that, she was looking super cute. She was wearing these tight black pants, a matching blazer, a bright blue blouse, like it was a really cute fit. But the flour wound up covering like the entire upper half of her body and her hair, and it looked so gross. So at the time, she and her momager, Chris, they were quickly ushered into a private room. They, cleaned up, whatever, went back out. And Kim was like laughing it off. She said, that is probably the craziest, unexpected, weird thing that ever happened to me. Like, I said to my makeup artist that I wanted more powder, and that's a whole lot of translucent powder right there. And like, I love laughing it off. Comedy's great. Apparently, the assailant reportedly ran off after throwing the flour, but then was intercepted by somebody who worked for Kim, held until the police arrived. She was arrested, but Kim didn't press charges. So the woman was released. And at the time, it was speculated that the attack was animal rights oriented. The woman allegedly shouted, "Fur hog," when she threw the flour. Sure, previously before that, PETA had called Kim out for her love of fur, but the organization denied that they were involved. And trust me, they're allowed to take credit for things that they do. Also, Kim wasn't wearing fur that day. This is not the Victoria's Secret fashion show, folks. So, Kim Kardashian's former media strategist, Shiraz Hassan, alleged that the infamous incident was actually staged to help promote the perfume. In the documentary The Kardashians' Billion-Dollar Dynasty, he claimed he told her, okay, this is what's gonna happen, you're going to be fine, you're going to be safe, but we're going to create a media moment. If we create media gold, guess what's gonna happen? Everyone's going to be talking about your perfume, everyone's going to buy it. Okay, whatever floats your boat, I don't think it's worth being covered in flour for. Lady Gaga was once involved in a bitter lawsuit with a former assistant, Jennifer O'Neill, and declared in court papers she was queen of the universe every day and O'Neill did not want to be her slave. So in the court papers, Lady Gaga apparently complained that O'Neill failed in simple duties, such as laying out her toothbrush and soap so she knew where they were. She insisted that O'Neill lived large off of her dime, wore her clothes, bagged the best bed on her private jet, and left the poor diva to lug her own suitcases. Meanwhile, disgruntled O'Neill sued for over $400,000 in unpaid overtime plus damages and testified that she was required to sleep in Gaga's bed because she didn't sleep alone and was expected to be working and available 24/7 for an annual salary of just $75,000. Such hours and demands might seem absurd to those outside of showbiz circles, but they're kind of par for the course. There's no such thing as overtime or having your own life when you work in showbiz, and thankfully the two settled out of court, but like, what was true here and what was a fib? Hakoop Manoukian began chauffeuring JLo and her then husband Mark Anthony around in 2005 before eventually being promoted to Lopez's staff full-time as her personal head of security and transportation in early 2011. Now, by September of that year, he was gone from her staff, after which he filed a lawsuit for breach of contract and wrongful termination, and this was against JLo, her company, and her manager, Benny Medina. subpoena. He claimed his agreement with J-Lo included a $72,000 yearly salary with additional production pay, potentially increasing his compensation to $200,000 yearly. But according to news outlets, he never received that production pay or the overtime. He claimed he dealt with intolerable labor conditions, such as working more than 40 hours a week and being prevented from taking proper meal periods, which forced him to resign. Now, J-Lo filed a countersuit against him, seeking a minimum of $20 million in damages, claiming the former driver was blackmailing her for $2.8 million because he was threatening to expose private information that he heard when chauffeuring her around. The countersuit also alleged that he became hostile and angry when J-Lo rejected his desire to lead and appoint members to organize a security team for a music video production. Now, the countersuit was dismissed in December of 2012, and they wound up settling the original lawsuit for undisclosed terms in February 2013, but this isn't the only former J-Lo staffer we're talking about today. Scott Barnes, an incredible makeup artist. He was credited with creating the signature technique that became J-Lo's glow in the early 2000s. It was like the look of the era. These two worked together from like the year 2000 until just recently. He was her personal makeup artist. He worked on Hustlers with her. He worked on the Super Bowl halftime performance. He worked on everything. The working relationship and friendship was like 2 decades long. But there's been some hiccups, and it doesn't seem like the two are like buddy-buddy anymore. Let me know if I'm wrong though. So he spilled the beans during an interview on the Jeff Probst show. So there was rumors circulating that Barnes and a couple of others leaked plans of J-Lo and Marc Anthony's secret marriage to the press, and nobody was talking to Barnes after that. He said, oh my gosh, nobody would talk to me. Now when the truth came out that he did not leak the news, he didn't even know about the wedding ahead of time, he got a phone call and it was like, hey, there's a big misunderstanding, we have a lot of stuff coming up, I really miss you, let's just get back to work. And great that he was so diplomatic in talking about all of this, considering it was like a whole fallout, but it's very clear he never got a direct apology. Also, at the time when that hiccup happened, it was really fast when the two reconciled, but it looks like they might be on the outs again, so maybe we'll get another tell-all. Mariah Carey's former personal assistant, Leanna Azarian, claimed she was subject to battery and harassment during her approximately 2 years of employment before being wrongfully terminated by the pop diva. I think that was in 2017. Now, that's according to a lawsuit that was filed with the Los Angeles Superior Court on that same day, which was the day that Mariah Carey sued Leanna, accusing her former assistant of secretly filming embarrassing videos, which was in violation of a standard NDA. Oh, and apparently the assistant was trying to extort her out of like $8 million. So according to a copy of the 32-page complaint from Leanna, she said she was hired by Mariah Carey in September 2015 at a salary of $250,000 per year. That eventually increased to almost like $330,000. She claimed the job entailed her to be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to assist Mariah Carey and the manager. According to the lawsuit, Leanna claims the manager subjected her to verbal and physical harm, ridiculing her about body parts, making physical contact, and a lot of things that I can't repeat, but like, look it up. On multiple occasions, Leanna claimed the manager tackled her to the ground and then like did things to her. And apparently, according to the lawsuit, Mariah Carey knew about and was present for a lot of this alleged mistreatment and like allowed it to continue. And when Leanna complained about the conduct in October 2017, she was let go. So obviously she sued for battery, discrimination, harassment, and wrongful termination. According to a lot of news outlets, Mariah Carey's lawsuit accuses Leanna of being a grifter, a peeping Tom, and an extortionist, and claimed Leanna secretly filmed Mariah engaged in personal activities, which, if revealed, would be personally embarrassing and professionally damaging. Well, Leanna displayed the intimate videos allegedly to her friends and coworkers, and she said, hey, if I'm ever fired, I'm gonna sell these for a profit and buy myself a home. Well, girly pop, where are the videos? Because if they're not on the internet, she didn't do it. In an interview for the unauthorized Anna, a biography, Anna Wintour's garden designer, Miranda Brooks, said that Anna Wintour didn't like vegetables and therefore refused to plant a veggie garden at her Long Island home. Now, if we're talking about all of Anna's former staff, being her assistant was apparently exactly like how it was portrayed in The Devil Wears Prada. Love that movie. She has 3 assistants at any given time. Her first, primary assistant, second one takes care of the home and the dogs, which at one point she had like all golden doodles, which like, so cute. And the third's in charge of running errands and organizing Anna's clothes, which like, I would not want to be in charge of that. One former assistant said they were terrified to ride in the elevator with her because Anna would list off everything they needed to do, even though they weren't like by their desks to write this down. So they're just like, oh, we kind of have to like remember all this. They were also scared to leave their desks to even just go to the bathroom. Anna would typically address all of them using the first assistant's name until she was sure they were actually gonna last.
First up, we have Matt Damon. Now, I didn't know this story, but it is
crazy. In an extremely odd tangent during an interview to promote his movie Stillwater, Matt Damon talked about using a homophobic word at dinner with his family. His daughter rightly intervened, leaving the table to write an essay to him about why using that particular word was wrong. Nobody was quite sure why in the year 2021 the Hollywood actor would still need that explained to him, but here we are. Our next celebrity is Ezra Miller. DC Studios saw Ezra Miller, aka comic book history's most problematic The Flash, plead guilty to 1-count misdemeanor unlawful trespass in a Vermont court. In exchange, the prosecution dropped felony burglary and larceny charges. The actor attributed their ongoing legal struggles as well as other terrible allegations to, quote, complex mental health issues. DC Studios has stood by them thus far and left the fate of the beloved character in purgatory for now. In April 2020, a video surfaced online of Ezra appearing to choke somebody at a bar in Iceland. A source later confirmed to Variety that the incident was, quote, a serious altercation at a bar, and that Miller was escorted off the premises as a result. 2 years after the incident, the woman from the clip shared her side of the story with Variety, saying that her banter with the actor about getting into a fight was meant as a joke, but her friend appeared to antagonize the situation when he told Ezra that he heard the actor did not want to fight. My friend didn't have to say that, she told the outlet. It was just a joke, obviously. But Ezra took that literally and got super mad and came running outside. Our next celebrity is Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen was written off of 2.5 Men following 8 years of playing Charlie Harper on the CBS sitcom. 2 months after Sheen was admitted to a rehab facility, the actor was fired due to his self-destructive behavior and offensive comments towards the show's producers. Here's how the network handled it. Ashton Kutcher was brought on as Walden Schmidt, who became the new comedic foil for Alan Harper. Sheen's character was revealed to have been hit by a subway train. The series finale, however, puts a new spin on Charlie Harper's absence from the show. The last episode depicts Charlie Sheen as a cartoon character who was kidnapped by his admirer, Rose. The scene takes a jab at Sheen's issues, turning his nose as a vacuum, inhaling a large pile of sugar. Interesting choice. Next up, we have Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey, who is set to play oil tycoon J. Paul Getty in Ridley Scott's 70s set thriller All the Money in the World, was let go from the film. In October, 2 months before All the Money in the World was scheduled to premiere, actor Anthony Rapp went public with accusations that Spacey had done some pretty bad stuff to him when Anthony was 14 years old. More than a dozen other men came forward with similar accusations against Spacey shortly afterwards. Spacey, who seemingly attempted to shield himself from criticism by coming out as gay, faced 3 separate legal cases from the accusations. All of these ended in Spacey's favor, were dismissed, or were dropped. How the studios handled it. To the extent that cancellation is a real thing, Spacey got thoroughly cancelled. He was fired from House of Cards, which proceeded with a 6th and final season without him, and he was fired from a biopic he was tapped to star in. For All the Money in the World, Ridley Scott reshot Spacey's scenes as Getty a month before its release, now with the much more age-appropriate Christopher Plummer in the role. Remarkably, the scenes only took 8 days to reshoot, and the film managed to hit its intended release date. Crazy. Our next cancelled actor is TJ Miller, and this one is so disappointing. I just watched TJ in 2016's Office Christmas Party movie. He's hilarious, but I guess he's not the best person in real life. TJ Miller, best known for starring in Silicon Valley in late 2017, also starring in the Emoji Movie. Miller was the subject of numerous public controversies, including accusations of transphobia by film critic Danielle Solzman. In April 2018, he got arrested after calling in a fake bomb threat while drunk on an Amtrak train. That's crazy. And later that year, he was accused of bullying behavior on the set of Silicon Valley by recurring actor Alice Wetterlund. How the studios handled it? Well, Miller left Silicon Valley in May before the accusations against him became public, but the actor had already filmed scenes for the blockbuster movie Deadpool 2 and recorded voice lines for the 3rd How to Train Your Dragon movie. Deadpool 2 went ahead, but star Ryan Reynolds made it clear that TJ Miller would not return for future sequels. DreamWorks Animation, meanwhile, had Miller's role in The Hidden World overdubbed by another actor, Justin Rupel. Next up, we have Constance Wu. From movies like Crazy Rich
Rich Asians and Hustlers, Constance set her sights on becoming a prominent A-lister. But in 2019, things took a turn. Quote, so upset right now that I'm literally crying. Twitter was blowing up. Effing hell. These two were tweets from the actor Constance Wu after her ABC sitcom Fresh Off the Boat was renewed for a 6th season, and she did not seem happy about it. When one person told her, congrats on your renewal, great news, she tweeted back, no it's not. Constance even went as far to comment on the show's official Instagram account and wrote dislike on the post announcing the show's renewal. This was followed by intense backlash from fans and online commentators. People called her ungrateful for dismissing an opportunity that so many struggling actors would die for. They said her public dissatisfaction was a slap in the face to the cast and crew who worked on the show. They called her a diva. Jimmy Kimmel joked about her and this incident on his own show. Perez Hilton reported she was, quote, the most hated person on the set of Fresh Off the Boat, and journalist Yashir Ali even wrote in a since deleted tweet, quote, Constance Wu's conduct today comes as no surprise to anybody who has worked with her in recent years. She has a reputation for being rude, petty, mean-spirited, and ungrateful. Actor Gemma Chan, who co-starred with Wu in Crazy Rich Asians, liked his tweet. She later clarified that she accidentally liked the tweet and said, anybody looking for drama? Sorry to disappoint. The tweet by Ali continues saying, I remember going to a gala later that same month hosted by a major Asian American nonprofit with a predominantly Asian American audience, and one famous Asian American comedian on stage made a joke about Constance Wu's outbursts. Everybody in the room laughed. An insider on the set of Hustlers said she was a, quote, big diva and demanded her name be on the top of the call sheet. The movie Hustlers also saw another diva on set, Miss Jennifer Lopez. Last year, a viral TikTok trend where people told their J-Lo horror stories went viral, and some of the stories are actually crazy. One user said, I served at a restaurant where J-Lo and Ben Affleck were eating. At the end of the meal, Ben put a $100 bill down as a tip for the waitress. As Jennifer was just about to leave, she grabbed the $100 bill and replaced it with $5. Another woman took to TikTok to claim that the Jenny from the Block singer is also rude to her drivers. The TikToker claimed her father once worked for a company that Lopez often hired to provide drivers, and said that her dad would refuse to drive J-Lo after hearing stories about her poor temperament. She alleged that J-Lo does not allow the drivers to look at her or talk to her, and that even if the driver looks through a rear view mirror, they could be subjected to a scolding from the diva celebrity. Lastly, she also allegedly has a peculiar rule. They cannot let her luggage touch the ground. Next up, we have Blake Lively. Users on Reddit shared their Blake Lively horror stories, and here is what one user said, quote, my boyfriend works in the movie studios and concerts where we live and has done small to major movies and met some pretty big movie stars because of it. The worst person he's ever had to deal with was Blake Lively. He said she was the most entitled, snobbiest, and rudest person to ever deal with. She threw tantrums on set, and she treated literally every single person like a piece of crap except for the director. The cast of Jersey Shore also had some things to say about Blake Lively. While the cast was taking part in a segment called Revenge of the Shady Duck Phone on Andy Cohen's talk show, they were asked, who's the rudest celebrity you've ever interacted with? While the cast didn't name names at first, Snooki blurted out Joy Behar, while Sammy and Dina said Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were really rude to them, though they all had the highest praise for Queen Bee herself, Beyonce. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds, he is also known in Hollywood for being super nice to high-profile celebs, but not really anyone else lower on the totem pole, except for A-list star Salma Hayek. Hayek and Reynolds made an appearance on BBC Radio 1 to talk about their experience working together on the film Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. During the course of the conversation, the Mexican actor, who's known to have a strong Hispanic accent, revealed how Reynolds gave her a very hard time in one scene in which her character was trying to put on a British accent. Quote, Reynolds traumatized me. He thought I was terrible with my British accent. I didn't think so. I thought I was a natural Brit, and I said to him, Ryan, does it sound good? He said, "Just give it up. It's 3 in the morning, I cannot help you with that. Do I look like a miracle worker?" A user on Reddit also gave their thoughts on Ryan Reynolds, saying, quote, "He was a well-known a-hole on set and to people in general, which is why his career was fizzling out for a while. Hugh Jackman saved him. Apparently, he told him that he can't keep going like this or nobody will work with him anymore. He cleaned up his act, but somehow I can't help but feel that the a-hole is still there, under the whole persona he has going in public."
Rebel Wilson had one of the biggest turnarounds in Hollywood. She made many jokes about her weight, and her character was even named Fat Amy in the Pitch Perfect series. She used it to her advantage to build her comedy, but when she lost the weight, she lost her fans as well. People started thinking she wasn't nearly as funny as she was, which simply isn't true, and she had a lot of people saying that, well, by losing the weight, it would put a dent in her career. Apparently, it did give her the opportunity to have a healthier lifestyle and, a smaller dress size, which sometimes comes in handy. She's like, "Sometimes being bigger, people didn't necessarily look twice at you. And now that I'm in a good shape, people offer to carry my groceries to the car and hold doors open." But critics have called her weight loss kind of toxic and depressing and a symptom of Hollywood's fat phobia. Kinda sad. So Lizzo has no shame in who she is, and she allegedly empowers others to feel the same way. But when she went on a full detox to lose weight, people started questioning her. Then when fans found out that she went vegan just to lose weight, they were furious, saying that she was doing the opposite of what she stood for. Now, she defended herself on Instagram, saying, "I detoxed my body and I'm still fat." Sure, yes, in reality she is still happy with herself, and she just wants to feel healthier. She said that both versions of her were happy, this one is just healthier. Shaming people doesn't make a difference, supporting their change does. But here's the thing. She's been cancelled for other reasons as well. Late last year, news broke that 3 former dancers accused Lizzo of harassment and creating a hostile work environment in a lawsuit that was filed in California. To be specific, Ariana Davis, Crystal Williams, and Noel Rodriguez accused Lizzo, along with her production company, Big Girl Big Touring, and her dance team captain, Shirlene Quigley, of religious and racial harassment, disability discrimination, false imprisonment, and more. So why is this relevant? Well, the complaint says Lizzo drew attention to a dancer's weight after an appearance at the South by Southwest Music Festival in Austin, Texas, and pressured dancers to engage with nude dancers at clubs in Amsterdam and Paris, which not a great move for somebody whose entire brand is about loving your body. There are also claims that Lizzo took her crew to a nude cabaret bar without disclosing what the bar was, and berated dancers and fired one on the spot for recording a meeting. Like, one dancer says that she soiled her pants during a rehearsal because she was so afraid of losing her job. And the lawsuit also says that Quigley publicly discussed one dancer's virginity. After the lawsuit was filed, 2 more women came forward backing up the allegations. Former dancer Courtney Hollenquist and Lizzo's former creative director took to Instagram to add their support. Now, Hollenquist, in a since-expired story, clarified she was not part of the lawsuit, but this was very much my experience in my time there. And Wilson added on, saying, "I haven't been part of that world for around 3 years for a reason. I very much applaud the dancers' courage to bring this to light, and I grieve parts of my own experience. I'd appreciate space to understand my feelings." So what makes these particular allegations so shocking? Lizzo has been very vocal about body positivity and women's rights since kicking off her career, becoming something of a champion and role model. And, she even did interviews saying, people saying stuff that's mean about her, that's fatphobic and hurtful, and she's like, if you like my music, cool. If you don't like me because of the way I look, well, that respect goes both ways. If you can't be respectful to your employees, you kind of deserve to be cancelled. Ariel Winter thought getting her big break in Modern Family was going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to her, but it kind of took a toll on her mental health. She has been bullied for her weight for years, considering she was the heavier sister on the show. But when she lost weight as she got older, she was ridiculed by fans once again. One fan even commented on her Insta saying, "I know it's good to be maintaining a healthy weight and all, and you can do whatever you want with your body, just please don't get skinny." The audacity? No, absolutely not. So Meghan Trainor's got 2 kids and a whole lot of curves for a mom. But people still make fun of her for losing weight. Goodness forbid, she ate a bit healthier. She worked out regularly, even though she had a crazy schedule. People have been making fun of her for losing the weight that made her famous in the first place. And it wasn't even that much either. She lost 20 pounds, which made a world of difference for her, but it's not that crazy. She just wanted to be healthier for her sake, and also for her kids, which it's so wholesome. Instead of folks dissing her for it, you should just be more supportive. So Adele has been hitting it out of the park in the musical world for years. So when she lost some weight, it shouldn't have made a difference, right? Well, some people started to give her their opinions on her weight and her body type after she lost the weight. Some folks celebrated her transformation, while others were troubled by it and even went so far as to call her a sellout. One said, celebrating Adele's weight loss is a garbage thing to do for a million reasons. It tells your fat friends that you think their bodies are a problem that needs to be solved. Please stop saying Adele had a glow up, wrote another person online. We have no idea what her health was or is like, and this is just reinforcing the skinny ideal or the concept that the skinnier you are, the prettier you get. Some blog writers even said it's a strange thing to do because it implied that she was, well, heavy before when she wasn't. So at that point, the haters were just going too far and completely missed the point of her losing weight because it made her feel good, not because of social standards. Now, Adele has refrained from much discussion of her body, but when she hosted Saturday Night Live in October of 2020, she made light of the situation. She said, I know, I look really different since you last saw me, but actually because of all the restrictions in the world and the travel bans, I had to travel light, and I could only bring half of me, and this is the half I chose. It's kind of funny. So Jonah Hill made an incredible turnaround and shed more than just a couple of pounds, but to this day he doesn't really want people talking about it. He didn't brag much on social media, he didn't really keep up with progress photos, simply because he feels like it's nobody's business what he does with his weight, even if it did cause a lot of fan outrage because he was often typecast because of said weight. In an interview, Sharon Stone asked for his permission to say he looked amazing, which honestly, super respectful to do. But fans didn't really appreciate that. Overall, it was a lose-lose situation, even if he was a healthier version of himself. So Khloe Kardashian has been on a weight loss journey ever since she welcomed her daughter True in April of 2018. She's documented it online. She's shared her workouts on her Insta, her Snapchat, her family's reality TV show. In 2023, however, her weight loss started heating up to a whole other level. So apparently, on her family's TV show, she was known by people as the fat sister because she didn't have as much work done on her body as her sisters did. And she's got some curves. Well, she got what she called a revenge body. So she dropped a lot of weight, she gained some muscle to be more visually appealing, but the fans weren't happy with that at all. Khloe has continued to document not just her workouts but also the results. And one fan was like, the fact that she uses diabetic medicine to get this skinny is disturbing, alleging that Khloe uses semaglutide, which is commonly used in medicines like Ozempic to achieve her svelte figure. Now, according to the FDA, the medications are used for chronic weight management in adults with obesity or who are overweight with a weight-related condition, including high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes. Look, jokes on everyone. Khloe is happy and healthy, happily married with kids. She's got that. So Amy Schumer was seen as overweight in the eyes of Hollywood and even played on that point when she starred in the movie I Feel Pretty. But she can still appease Hollywood even when she's dropped a bunch of weight to feel better about herself. But she's been met with a lot of criticism about that. She has handled the entire ordeal the same way she has with everything else in life, making sarcastic remarks and jokes about the feedback on her face and body, and how everybody's got an opinion on everything. She tweeted in response to the haters saying she felt happy with herself, she felt healthy. She only weighed in at 160, which isn't that much over the average weight, being somewhere between 120 to 155 depending on body type and age. Few actors are as devoted to character transformations as Christian Bale, who has gained and lost incredible amounts of weight from many of his past roles. He's kind of notorious for this, and it's not exactly healthy. He gained over 40 pounds for his role in Vice, lost over 60 pounds for his role in The Machinist, both of which were kind of extreme. Now, after that role in The Machinist, where he weighed 120, he had to gain 100 pounds in 6 months for Batman Begins, but then had to lose 30 pounds again before filming because he bulked up too much. He's even done special exercises to thicken his neck in order to physically fulfill the demands of his movie roles. No, big suits or doing it halfway for this guy. Look, it's one thing to commit to a role, but when you fluctuate that much and that quickly, it's not healthy. So naturally, people have hated on him for it. Now, however, he has recently revealed that those days might be soon behind him. He's like, I've become a little more boring now. I'm older. I feel like if I keep doing this, I'm gonna die. So I'd prefer not to die. And I think all of his fans would agree. Now, Ashley Graham, the amazing plus-size model that she is known for her curves and recently took to Instagram to promote self-love. She's like, love the skin you're in. Now, she gave birth to a son in 2020 and captioned a post featuring her nude with her stretch marks on display, and fans were quick to shower her with praise in the comments. But she's also been on the receiving end of hateful messages about her body. Like in 2016, she posted a seemingly slimmer photo on Insta, and people didn't like it. They were like, why are you changing yourself? I thought you were comfortable being yourself and being plus size. Now, Ashley hit back, being like, nothing is never enough for you. But at the end of the day, I'm good enough for me.
First off, we have Jonah Hill. After the actor's ex-girlfriend, Sarah Brady, accused Jonah of being emotionally toxic and a misogynist narcissist, it prompted Zoey 101 star Alexa Nicholas to come forward with her own allegations against Jonah, according to The Independent. After reading Sarah Brady's admirable post about Jonah Hill, I just gotta say, when I was 16, I got invited to a house party at Justin Long's house, she posted on X, and Jonah, without my consent, shoved his tongue down my throat. I was appalled, I pushed him off of me, and then I ran inside. Starting on July 7th, Sarah Brady, a surf instructor and model, shared multiple screenshots of toxic texts sent from her ex, Jonah Hill. This is a warning to all girls, she says. If your partner is talking to you like this, make an exit plan. Call me if you need an ear. Brady captioned one post. She also shared text messages that allegedly showed Jonah requesting that she remove surfing photos from her Instagram account that showed her, quote, butt in a thong. In one post dated December 2nd, 2021, Jonah is alleged to have written to Brady, if you need surfing with men, boundaryless inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post inappropriate pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places and from your wild recent past, beyond just getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful, I am not the right partner for you, he said. Next up, we have Lizzo. 3 of Lizzo's former dancers have accused the singer of harassment and creating a hostile work environment. They also allege that she pressured one of them to touch a nude performer at an Amsterdam club and subjected the group to an excruciating audition after leveling false accusations that they were drinking on the job. The dancers accused Lizzo, a performer known for embracing body positivity and celebrating her physique, of calling attention to one dancer's weight gain and later berating, then firing that dancer after she recorded a meeting because of a health condition. The lawsuit, filed in Los Angeles Superior Court and provided to NBC News, also accuses the captain of Lizzo's dance team of deriding those who had premarital intercourse while sharing lewd fantasies and publicly discussing the virginity of one of the plaintiffs. The lawsuit does not say if Lizzo knew about the allegations linked to the dance captain, but the plaintiffs believe the singer was aware of their complaints about her, according to their lawyer. Next, we have Ariana Grande. Just because we learned that Ariana is dating her Wicked co-star Ethan Slater a mere 3 days after news broke that Grande was splitting from husband Dalton Gomez doesn't mean the timeline was equally as rushed, right? Well, according to sources, it appears Grande was still working on her relationship with Dalton when she flew to the UK to film the musical movie Wicked in December 2022, though a source told Us Weekly that the couple were having issues and the distance did not help. Meanwhile, Grande's alleged new boyfriend, who is known for playing SpongeBob on Broadway and will be playing the Munchkin Bach in Wicked, was also in a committed relationship when the filming began. In fact, Ethan Slater had been married to high school sweetheart Lily J since 2018 and welcomed his first child with her sometime in 2022. Rumors that Ariana and Ethan had been cheating on their partners began circling, and fans are not having it. One Reddit user wrote, quote, "She is a 30-year-old grown woman. Zero excuses for being a homewrecker. That man had a newborn baby. Selfish beyond measure." Adding, "A newborn and wife whom Ariana hung out with on multiple couples outings. The wife considered her a friend." Another user wrote a detailed thread on the situation saying, "For the past couple of years, she'll do anything to preserve her happiness at any cost, even when it's messed up. It was inevitable that she was going to get divorced before she got married, and she has a long pattern of not being able to be single and going from one guy to the next. The one time she was single, she threw herself into work, and as soon as her tour was over, she was with somebody else. The Ethan Slater thing is messed up and inexcusable because of the fact that he has a child. I genuinely believe that the biggest root of all of it, not even her unresolved trauma, is the fact that all the people in her life, whether it's her team of 10 plus years, her stage mom and her half-brother, or even her childhood friends who rely on her and are thus always supportive yes men. Next up, we have Nikki Tutorials, who exposed Ellen DeGeneres. YouTuber Nikki Tutorials has spoken out again about how she was treated on The Ellen Show. According to Pop Crave, she was greeted by an angry, overworked intern and then not given the same VIP treatment as the other guests. She said she wasn't allowed to use the bathroom closest to her because it was, quote, reserved for the Jonas Brothers. She appeared on the show just months after she came out as transgender in an emotional YouTube video. In a subsequent interview with a Dutch talk show, she suggested that Ellen was, quote, cold and distant when the cameras were turned off. Next up, we have Colleen Ballinger. Fellow YouTuber Trisha Paytas exposed Colleen for her insane behavior. The 35-year-old confirmed that her and Colleen Ballinger's oversharing podcast was coming to an end after just 3 episodes. Trisha opened up about the decision to cancel the podcast following the allegation from a former fan of Colleen's, Johnny Silvestri, who said that Colleen had previously sent him NSFW photos and videos of Trisha from her OF while making fun of her. Trisha said that she reached out to Colleen about the allegations and she denied them. This is all very embarrassing, Trisha said in her July 9th, 2023 YouTube video. It's very embarrassing at the end of the day. I don't get embarrassed by many things, obviously, but the podcast ending after 3 episodes is embarrassing. The podcast, which premiered May 2023, released its last episode on June 6th, days after allegations of Colleen forming inappropriate relationships with fans surfaced. In late June 2023, Colleen responded with a 10-minute ukulele song where she admitted previous wrongdoings but denied doing anything wrong with her fans. Of the whole experience, Trisha reiterated, "Us doing all this is embarrassing. It takes a lot for me to get embarrassed. When I say I've never wanted a chapter in my life to be over faster than this," Trisha continued, "even though it was a very small chapter, I mean it." Next up, we have Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg's history of racially motivated attacks have resurfaced after the actor was accused of hypocrisy for sharing a post supporting Black Lives Matter. Many commenters accused Wahlberg of hypocrisy given his history of using racial slurs and hate crimes as a teenager. The Independent has approached Wahlberg's representatives for comments on these accusations with no response. While living in Boston in the 1980s, Mark was twice charged for race-related crimes, serving time in jail for one of the attacks. Yikes. Next up, we have Dave Chappelle. Following the end of the Chappelle Show, Dave Chappelle went on an extended break and only made occasional appearances in the media. That changed, however, around the mid-2010s when he started regularly doing stand-up once again. However, this return has been married in various controversies, with the comedian making some ill-advised jokes throughout his specials. In 2021, The Closer was released on Netflix to mixed reviews and widespread controversy. Chappelle was accused of making transphobic remarks, and the special caused various Netflix employees to walk off the job in protest. Regardless, Chappelle continues his stand-up career. In 2022, he headlined 4 nights at the Hollywood Bowl and hosted Saturday Night Live. Next up, let's discuss Roseanne Barr. Barr made headlines when it was revealed that her long-running and beloved sitcom Roseanne was returning to the airwaves. However, that highly anticipated return did not last long. Just 2 months after the season debuted in 2018 to enormous success, Barr tweeted a racist insult aimed at government official Valerie Jarrett. The Roseanne revival was swiftly axed by ABC, and Roseanne Barr largely disappeared from the public spotlight. She was notably excluded from The Conners, a follow-up to the sitcom. However, the actress now seems to be trying to revive her career, as in 2023 she delivered a brand new comedy special on Fox. Next up, we have Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer was on the come-up throughout the 2010s, starring in the likes of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Call Me By Your Name. The latter earned him widespread attention and praise, and he was even nominated for a Golden Globe for his work in it. But in January 2021, various allegations were were made against him, claiming that he had disturbing fantasies with his female partners. He left many of his pending projects behind, while others completely cut ties with him and basically fled the entertainment industry. His final film to date, Death on the Nile, was released in 2022. Hammer is now thought to be residing in the Cayman Islands and reportedly works in the timeshare selling business. Lastly, we have J-Lo. Last year on TikTok, there was a viral trend going around of fans exposing J-Lo horror stories, and some of these are shocking, so buckle up. One woman described her experience of helping J-Lo at Foot Locker. She said Lopez, quote, cussed me out because the store didn't have the correct size for the shoes she wanted to buy her kids, 14-year-old twins Emmy and Maximilian. But that was nothing compared to the story another woman had after Lopez came to stay in a house where she used to work as a maid. She described how a nail artist was called in to give Lopez a pedicure in bed, which the nail tech had to do upside down because Jennifer, who was laying on her stomach, refused to roll over onto her back.
There is currently a lot of drama going on with the film It Ends With Us, most specifically with Blake Lively. Now the internet has begun to turn on her, and here's everything that's happened. So starting off, the book it's based off of has been called problematic for romanticizing sensitive topics like DV. The author, Colleen Hoover, also has some controversies, but besides all of this, the movie was made. Now Blake Lively stars as the main character Lily Bloom, and she's also a producer on the film. She co-stars with Jason Baldoni, who is also the director of the film. Now with these two having more control over the project than just acting in it, it's no surprise that there were some altercations. Fans on social media have pointed out that the pair have not appeared together for any press or any photos together. Over the past week, Justin has spoken to Access Hollywood, Today, Entertainment Tonight, and Good Morning America, while Blake has spoken to Vogue, Capital FM, and CBS Mornings. Justin only appeared on the red carpet solo and side by side with his wife Emily and other friends and family at the premiere, but never with Lively or other co-stars. Now according to Paper Magazine, Justin also allegedly didn't introduce the film ahead of the screening with Blake and Colleen Hoover, despite being the director and star of the film, which is a little strange. Unnamed sources told The Hollywood Reporter there were fractures among the filmmakers in post-production, and that Lively, who was a producer on the film, had commissioned her own cut of the film from editor Shane Reed, who was the editor on her husband Ryan Reynolds' film Deadpool and Wolverine. Another source told The Hollywood Reporter Blake's cut may not indicate a feud, as it's not uncommon for a film to undergo multiple cuts during post-production, and the filmmaking team agreed on the final cut, but who knows what truly happened. Then people got really upset when Blake spoke about how involved her husband Ryan Reynolds was in the film. Blake added her own fuel to the fire when she revealed that her husband wrote part of the rooftop scene in the film. The iconic rooftop scene, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you know, Blake said. Now, apparently this is normal. As Blake said, we help each other all the time. He works on everything I do, I work on everything he does. So his wins, his celebrations are mine, and mine are his. Now, multiple unnamed sources told The Hollywood Reporter that Ryan did not write the entire scene, which is a good thing. Now, this could have made Justin upset, and fans seem to speculate that Blake and Ryan may have taken over, effectively stepping on Justin's toes. Now, Blake told Hits Radio UK about one clash she had on set, which she said she is not supposed to be talking about, though she did not specify who it was with, claiming they begged her to remove a Lana Del Rey song from the film. Now, Justin told Elle on Monday that there's always friction that happens when you make a movie like this, but said that friction is what creates the beautiful art. Blake has been called out though about how she's treated the promotion of this film. She's been promoting the film as a rom-com when it covers serious topics. It's a drama and not a rom-com. At the premiere, her husband Ryan attended, but so did his Deadpool 3 co-star Hugh Jackman. A lot of people claimed that it felt like Blake and Ryan were trying to recreate the magic of the Barbie and Oppenheimer movie premieres last summer. But due to the nature of It Ends With Us, it's just not the right thing to do at all. It seemed like all Blake cared about was towards reaching high numbers at the box office and looking good, not trying to tell the story of a DV victim and bring awareness to the issues in the film. Blake has also been blasted as tone deaf and shallow after she hosted an interview with her It Ends With Us co-stars and failed to discuss the serious message behind the movie. Blake sat down with fellow cast members Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferrer, as well as author Colleen last week to discuss the new flick, and many people were left unimpressed by the lighthearted nature of their conversation. The four women giggled together as they discussed everything from their dream jobs to zodiac signs, but there was no mention of DV during their chat, and social medias were quick to slam them, particularly Blake, who hosted the interview, for partaking in the breezy questionnaire given the serious nature of the film and for failing to speak about the topic. Immediately, outraged viewers flocked to the comment section to criticize them. "I'm very confused, you missed the entire purpose of the movie, I'm sad and disappointed," one person wrote. "Can you please promote it appropriately?" another asked. Now someone else added, "Blake is only here for the fashion and that's all. She ain't interested in the message this movie brings. Shallow." However, several hours later, Blake took to Instagram to share information about DV, as well as some resources for her followers. She directed her followers to a series of links, which included a phone number for victims of DV, as well as statistics and other information. But that interview wasn't the only time she acted weird during an interview for the film. In a recent Jake's Takes interview hosted by Jake Hamilton, Blake, who appears alongside her co-star Brandon, is asked about how people affected by the movie might approach her in public to discuss some of its themes. "If someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this?" Now Blake then decided to answer this in what she thought was a funny way, I guess. Blake proceeded to make a joke as she sarcastically questioned, like asking for my address or my phone number or like location share, and she continued to joke but eventually answered more seriously. But that really wasn't the right tone at all. Now several internet users have been left appalled at Blake's initial dismissive response to Jake's question. Now while Blake has touched on the movie's darker side occasionally, she has been lighthearted for most of the press tour. For example, she's focused much of her energy on her floral looks, which reference her character's name and profession. She even says in the film's official TikTok account's promotional clip, "Grab your friends, wear your florals," as she encourages people to watch the movie. Which, is that really an appropriate thing to say? No, not really. Then Blake has also been using the film to promote some of her own businesses. She promoted her drinks company, Betty Buzz, and actually unveiled some floral-inspired cocktails for the film. She then created Betty Blooms, a limited series of bouquets housed in Betty Buzz bottles, as a tie-in to her character's love for flowers. Now she also used the promo to announce her new hair care line. At the premiere of It Ends With Us, fans also accused Blake of promoting her business for personal gain. Now during the red carpet event, fans noticed that Blake discussed her hairline rather than focusing on conversations surrounding DV awareness. Others also noticed that Blake's Instagram bio is a link to her hair care line's profile, whereas her co-star Justin's is a link to a non-profit organization focused on helping victims of DV. Now it's just very two different approaches to this, but Blake's is falling short. Norwegian interviewer Kirsty Fla, who goes by Kirsty, has uploaded her 2016 interview with Blake that was so uncomfortable it made her want to quit her journalism career. Kirsty posted a video simply called "The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job" to her popular YouTube channel earlier this week, and viewers have been left horrified by the 4-minute long footage. In the clip, Brooke is promoting the movie Cafe Society and is joined by her co-star Parker Posey. Now the movie came out in July 2016, and this interview would have taken place at around the same time. That year, Blake had announced her pregnancy at the Met Gala that May, but she appeared to take offense when Kirsty starts the interview by congratulating her on her little bump. "Congrats on your little bump," Blake mockingly retorts to Kirsty, who visibly isn't pregnant. Now, appearing to purposely exclude Kirsty from the conversation, Blake and Parker seem to almost ignore her. It was extremely rude and horrible, and people in the comments called them out. Yeah, this doesn't look good for her at all, and with all this stuff coming out, it's making Blake lose fans. If you haven't noticed lately, almost everyone has been been hating on Oprah Winfrey. Why? Well, it has to do with past interviews, her beliefs, and her overall attitude. As we all know, the presidential election in the United States was last week, and Kamala Harris had a lot of celebrities promote her and go to her rallies. Now, one celebrity who endorsed her was Oprah, but the Washington Examiner had reported last week that Oprah's media company, Harpo Productions, had received a fee from Harris's campaign for the star-studded live interview in September. Now, the price tag, $1 million. Now that is just crazy, and it has people upset at the star. Well, Harris's campaign sent out a bunch of messages to civilians asking for donations for the campaign, and fans are not happy that some of their money went to Oprah, who has a net worth of $3 billion. Yes, billion with a B. Now, you'd think Oprah would make an appearance out of the goodness of her heart, but no. One person on Twitter said, "Just embarrassing that anyone thought that Lady Gaga or Oprah were going to swing enough voters to justify this is insane." Someone else said, "All of it is so slimy and disgusting. At Oprah is so utterly repugnant." A third said, "Those performers should be ashamed of themselves. This is Trump-level grifting and is just one of many reasons you'll never see me donate a penny to a politician." Yeah, this is honestly just wrong. It was then said that Oprah donated $150 million to the campaign, but that was false too. Nicole Nichols, a spokesperson for Oprah, told USA Today the show has not donated to Harris's campaign. No donations to Harris from Oprah or her company Harpo Inc. are listed on the Federal Election Commission website or Open Secrets, a nonpartisan research group that tracks US political spending. Then there was the whole Maui Fund. Again, this has to do with money, and you would think with Oprah being a celebrity for so long, she would know how the world would perceive her with all of this, but I guess not. In early August 2023, a series of wildfires broke out in Hawaii, predominantly on the island of Maui. The wind-driven fires prompted evacuations and caused widespread damage, ending the lives of at least 102 people and leaving 2 people missing. Now, in light of the tragedy, Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson took to Instagram and TikTok, and in a video they introduced their new collaboration, the People's Fund of Maui. They said that their relief fund was intended to raise money for Maui residents who had been affected by the tragedy. In the video, the pair cited Dolly Parton as an inspiration for their new venture. They claimed that because people were confused about how to help Maui residents, they sought to create a fund that would directly provide residents with relief. In the lengthy caption, the pair wrote, "We're honored to announce the People's Fund of Maui, a fund putting money directly into the pockets of those who were affected by the recent wildfires. As we have seen firsthand, the impacts of these wildfires have been devastating, and we're here to ensure with 100% guarantee that your donations will go directly into the hands of Lahaina residents." Now, after this was launched, people started questioning why celebs were asking everyday people to donate instead of their celebrity friends or even them just funding it themselves. Again, Oprah has a net worth of $3 billion. Now people started calling them out on social media, and instead of taking this critique, Oprah hit back and made things worse. All the online conversations being slammed, the lies, conspiracy theories really took the focus off of what was the most important thing, and that was the people of Maui, Oprah said on a CBS Mornings appearance. "I was on the ground talking to a lot of people, trying to figure out how do I best help." Oprah and The Rock thought about how they had both given to charity their whole lives and felt like starting with a $10 million donation worked because it was enough to kick things off before opening the Maui wildfires funds up to people who wanted to help but didn't know how. "I was so excited about it, then I got up the next morning and I saw all this vitriol and I was like, whoa, what happened here?" she said. But yeah, people were angry, which I don't blame them for, because honestly, what the heck. Then there's the whole thing with her weight. Throughout her career, Oprah has always been made fun of for her weight. "It was a public sport to make fun of me for 25 years. I have been blamed and shamed, and I blamed and shamed myself," she said. Now, one controversial moment regarding her weight loss was in 1988, when she unveiled her new slim figure by taking off an oversized coat and wheeling out a wagon holding 67 pounds of animal fat, the amount she had lost in less than 5 months. Now, the episode drew huge attention, competition, earning the highest ratings in the show's history. However, years later, Oprah expressed regret about it, saying that it was simply an ego trip and admitting that she eventually regained all the weight. Now, Oprah was also a brand ambassador for the brand Weight Watchers. Now, Weight Watchers was already controversial for its weight loss program, but Oprah stood by it, always promoting it. Things took a turn though in 2023 after it was said that she was using an unnamed weight loss drug, and that's how she was able to lose a lot of weight. So it wasn't the program that she had been promoting for all those years, which made a lot of people feel lied to, and they say that Oprah cheated with her weight loss. Then in 2024, Oprah decided to step down and stop working with Weight Watchers altogether. Many people are saying that she's a sellout and that everything she ever stood for was a lie. And hey, I can't blame people for getting upset over this. It's very likely that she's taking Ozempic or something Ozempic adjacent, which is all the craze with celebrities right now who are trying to lose weight. I understand why people are so upset about this, as Oprah claimed for years that a specific weight loss program was working for her, but it was all due to medication. And then there's the fact that she's had certain guests on her show who people believe shouldn't have had a platform. Oprah made Dr. Oz famous as she made him a regular guest, promoted his books, and endorsed his advice on her show. As the Washington Post reported though, Oz provided a platform for potentially dangerous projects and fringe viewpoints aimed at millions of viewers, according to medical experts, public health organizations, and federal health guidance. Now, less than 1/3 of what he says on his show can be backed up by even the modest medical evidence, and nearly 4 in 10 of the assertions made on the show appear to be made on the basis of no evidence at all, which is not good at all. Now, with Oprah helping launch his career, he has hurt a lot of people with his fake medical advice. Now, someone else who's in the same situation is psychologist Phil McGraw, aka Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil first came on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 1998 and soon began appearing in a regular Tuesday segment to offer relationship and life strategy advice. In 2002, he launched his own syndicated daytime talk show, Dr. Phil, a spin-off of his segments on Oprah's show, which was produced by her Harbo Productions. It has been exposed that Dr. Phil is not a real doctor anymore, and that what he does to help people doesn't actually help, it just exploits them. He's been accused of sending teens to horrible facilities to quote-unquote help them, as wilderness programs, also known as the troubled teen industry, are places that are designed to provide participants with a series of physically challenging outdoor activities designed to prevent or reduce delinquent behavior. And let me say, Dr. Phil has often sent young teens from his show to a wilderness camp called Turnabout Ranch. Now, many former students of these places who call themselves survivors have begun to create online communities to support one another and speak out on their horrific experiences, claiming that they suffered mistreatment at these camps and were left with PTSD, some even taking their own lives afterwards. Still, with all this evidence, Dr. Phil still sends people there. If Oprah had not made Dr. Phil famous, so many people's lives could have been saved, as it appears he's done more harm than good.